Hello, friends and neighbors, and welcome to Sunnyside and our Christmas edition of storytelling. We hope you have a very, very Merry Christmas indeed. In an age when we are convinced our world leaders are distant and disconnected from the rest of us, it is good this time of year, I think, to hearken back to a time when even the high and mighty would drop in for a visit with the common folk. Many are the legends of good King Wenceslas, who went among his people with gifts at Christmas. It is said that he frequently disguised himself and went into the streets in order to get close to his people, listen to their woes, share their joys, right their wrongs, and deal with their oppressors. Long before there was a reality show like Undercover Boss, a 24-hour news cycle, social media, or even podcasts, there was a play written in the Great Depression by a woman named May Emery Hall, and you've probably never heard of her. She was born in Providence, Rhode Island, where she was educated and where she taught for 5 years. She was married to George Henry Hall, a mechanical engineer and technical writer, not the famous George Henry Hall, who was an American still life and landscape artist. And the couple resided quietly in New York City. I found this public domain one-act play in the 5th yearbook of short plays published in 1939 by Rowe, Peterson and Company. It was on my bookshelf. Now, I have no idea how many yearbooks of short plays there were, as I just have this one collection, which apparently is the 5th, and I couldn't find anything more on Mrs. Hall. But I'm glad that I did find this charming story to share and produce for you this Christmas with the help of some of our Sunnyside of Life players, like Claudia Tillman, who plays Mrs. Gessner, the castle caretaker, and Finley Burkholder, who plays Sophie, her daughter. We have a couple of helpers. The first and second helper are played by Nate Forsberg and Andy Buffington, respectively. And then Anton, a young displaced aristocrat, is played by Tanner Thompson. And, of course, there's Count Ladislaus Novak, Anton's uncle. Every play needs a villain, and that's him played by our good friend Donovan Johnson. And I'll be in it, too. You'll see where. This play was adapted by me for our podcast listeners, of course. It's supposed to be a theater of the mind type of thing. It's the format akin to those radio productions of old, long before there was television and streaming services. A time when families would gather round the hearth and listen to a story unravel, and each, in their own mind's eye, could envision by their own imaginations that which was being heard. Now, this play, our gift to you this Christmas, is called The Miracle of Christmas Eve, and it reveals a tale of hope, forgiveness, peace, and the message of the season learned by those inhabitants of Bethlehem 2 millennia ago. A guest in the house is God in the house. I encourage you to gather round as a family and listen to this story, a story that is, or what might have been the story, of one of these adventures of good King Wenceslas. Now, the playwright set this story in the mid-14th century, which would have timed up with the reign of Wenceslas IV, ruler of Bohemia, and also known as Wenceslas of Luxembourg, as well as ruler of Germany and part of the House of Luxembourg. That Wenceslas was nicknamed the Idol and was only a child when he became ruler of Bohemia back in 1363. He is likely not the good King Wenceslas May Emery Hall was thinking of as she wrote this. There were actually several Wenceslas kings of Bohemia, which is now the Czech Republic, and most were not necessarily what we'd consider good. But it was the first Wenceslas, who was never really a king, but rather he was a duke, that was canonized as a saint. He lived in the 10th century, some 400 years prior to the setting of this play, and was made famous in both Bohemian and English lore as the ruler who would disguise himself and deliver alms to the poor. That is the modern miracle of the internet, I suppose, the ability in a moment to fact-check the fictional presentation of an unknown playwright in the public domain. Regardless, Here is the charming story happening in Kerensky Castle in Prague, where, disguised as a beggar, King Wenceslas finds the servants in frantic preparation for the new owner, Count Ladislaus Novak. That's actually a first name of one of the aforementioned King Wenceslases. Count Novak is cold and ruthless and has stolen from his own brother the money and this castle, which is not rightfully his, something any one of the many historical Wenceslases would have certainly understood personally. Moreover, Count Novak's nephew, because his father is in dire need and not good health, is forced to go out as a servant and finds himself here in his uncle's new castle. How this comes about, and how King Wenceslas rights the wrongs which the grasping Count Novak has done his brother's family, well, that is the story of the miracle of Christmas Eve, a medieval castle, university students singing carols in the distance, and a story that is old but not trite make this a welcome variation among Christmas themes. And now, my friends, from Sunnyside Farm Studios, enjoy the presentation by the Sunnyside of Life Players, The Miracle of Christmas Eve by May Emery Hall.
We've plenty of hard work ahead of us, Sophie. Make no mistake. Hours of it.
Oh, but Mother, it's Christmas Eve. That should help some, yes?
You and your Christmas Eve. Work is work, whether 'tis done at harvest time or the turn of the year.
But surely it isn't half as hard with the very best day of the whole year so close at hand. Oh, how I love it. The fragrance of the forest brought indoors, lighted candles, carols. Hark, Mother, it's the university students going from door to door. I hope they'll stop to sing at ours.
We can't stop for caroling this night. Why the nobility always has a way of hitting upon the very times to make us most uncomfortable, I never could figure out, unless it's the only means they can think of to show us they are the nobility. Oh, sorry I am the castle is changing hands, but with the last of the family buried in the churchyard this fortnight since, it had to be, I suppose. God rest his soul. A good line, Kerensky. I doubt we shall ever see such another.
What is the new owner like, Mother?
Judging from the message he sent me, a come here and go there sort. High and mighty, I'd guess.
Perhaps he won't be so bad, Mother.
We'll have a chance to find out soon enough. If those stupid louts I hired had only shown up, I might have known they couldn't be depended upon.
They may come yet.
So will summer.
What did I tell you, Mother? They've just arrived. Look, you can see them through the window.
Look at them. Just look at them. Now, wouldn't you think they were following a hearse? So, you finally decided to appear, huh? Well, in with the two of you. Have you taken such leave of your senses that you've forgotten to tell time? I told you to come at 3 o'clock, and 'tis now well nigh 7. Come. What do you think I hired you for anyway? To stand there gawking about like two idiots?
But we don't know what you want us to do yet, Mrs. Gessner.
Well, when it comes to that, I hardly know myself where to tell you to begin. Great consideration has his lordship shown, I'll be bound. 'Twas but this noon his messenger arrived on a hard-driven horse with news that the Count would be here this very evening. Furthermore, that the castle must be cleaned from top to bottom before his arrival.
But you've got us to help you now, haven't you, Mrs. Gessner?
A lot of help you'll be if you go mooning about the way you've just sauntered in.
Well, how much are you going to pay us, Mrs. Gessner?
Money. Always the first consideration. Don't you think it's for me to decide when your night's work is over how much you've been worth? How else?
I've got to know now. Unless I do, not a hand do I raise to dig out of any of the old rubbish of that skinflint old Count of yours.
I say the same.
Hoity-toity. When I was young, it would have been considered a shameful disgrace to have talked to my elders the way you're doing. Tut, tut, tut. Times have changed. Times have changed.
I should hope so.
Ah, come on, pal. Let's not bother with her. There's plenty of other work to be had. Cleaner, better work, too. Let's go.
Oh, stop. We can come to terms, I'm certain. But not that I'd bargain with you if I wasn't so pressed for time.
How much?
I really can't afford what I'm going to offer. But still, seeing the work's got to be done, and you're both already here, and time is short.
How much?
5 kreutzers for each of you.
No, thank you very much. Let's go, pal.
5 kreutzers? You're crazy, Mrs. Gessner.
That's right, crazy. We're leaving, right, pal?
Yes, we are, friend. We'll show ourselves to the door.
I'll get it, pal, right this way.
Thank you, friend.
Stop. I'll add a kreutzer apiece then. 6, that makes it.
10 kreutzers for the night's labor, or you can look elsewhere for somebody to do your dirty work.
That's what I say.
You young rubbers. I'll come up to 8, but not a kreutzer more.
10 or nothing.
Yes, 10 or nothing.
Well, if I must be bled, fine. 10 each. And now to work. You may as well begin with those bags of rubbish at the back. Sophie will show you where they are. Pile them by the fireplace. Later we'll set fire to them.
Say, Mrs. Gessner, I was just thinking,
Well,
if we find any of the Kerensky treasure, do we keep it?
Kerensky treasure.
Oh, but there is some hidden away somewhere.
Of course there is. Everybody knows that Rudolph, first of the Kerenskys, had a hoard of gold hidden away somewhere in the castle when he died. He had just got home from that what is it they call it?
You mean the crusade to the Holy Land.
Right, miss. And because he died so sudden, they say he had no chance to dig it up. There was heaps and heaps of gold.
Nonsense. Stuff and nonsense. All of it.
Oh, you won't say so, Miss Gessner. If we run into this buried gold...
Never mind what I'll say then. What I say now is for you two to get at your work.
I've thought of another reason why you should pay us better wages, Mrs. Gessner.
What next?
We're running a bigger risk this night than we would any other of the year.
What risk are you babbling about, idiot?
Why, 'tis Christmas Eve, the old
Crusader.
The old crusader walks this night. There are those, as I've heard the clanking of his chainmail.
Don't think we're afraid, though, Miss Gessner. Not me, anyway.
Shoo! Off with you dimwits. Get at your work. Sophie, tell the creatures where to begin.
Yes, Mother.
Oh, for heaven's sake! My goodness! Is he here already? I haven't finished, and oh, dear Lord, I look a mess. Yes, I'm coming. Give an old woman a moment to straighten herself out. Oh, bless this apron. And my face. Oh, my hair. Oh, dear. Fine, it'll have to do. Good evening, Oh, well, what do you want?
Work, if you'll be good enough to give me some.
Well, step in, can't you? My fire isn't supposed to heat the whole countryside.
This is Castle Kerensky, is it not?
As if everybody in Prague didn't know that?
But I haven't been in Prague long, you see.
Where are you from, then?
The southwest border in the Bummerwald, dear lady.
Well, why didn't you know enough to stay up in your mountains?
We couldn't very well. That is, our castle.
Your castle? Your castle?
It was our castle. Even if my uncle did get it away from my father by dishonest means, and if my father hadn't been taken ill just then, he would have fought for his rights.
So, But how does this family quarrel bring you to Prague? Tell me that. Is it lawyers you're seeking?
No, we've no money for lawyers. No, we're here in Prague because it seemed as if it might be the cheapest place to live and the easiest place to find work. But I'm not finding it so. I've hunted and hunted for something to do, but nobody has anything for me.
Is there anybody besides your father and yourself?
My mother and my sister, Anna.
So, you made a mistake coming to Prague.
Oh, no, not a mistake.
But you said...
That I hadn't been able to find work here yet. But that isn't the same as saying I'm sorry I came.
But pray, what is there to be glad about?
Oh, why, the university's here.
Is that anything to get excited about?
For me, yes. My father went there, you understand, and his father before him. So did all my uncles. And someday I was, but now...
Well, I can't put you through the university, but I can put you to work, provided your lily-white hands are equal to it.
Oh, madam, that is kind of you.
The castle is being put in order for the coming of the Count, the new owner. He is due here tonight.
So I just heard. That's why I took this last chance.
I've already hired 2 young rogues.
Rogues, is it?
Nice name, that, for us.
Gentlemen, then.
That's better.
Much better.
There's a pile of cast-off books in the chamber just off the passage there, which his lordship specially instructed me to throw out. They may as well be given to the flames along with this other trash. Come, I'll show you where to find them.
I don't know how to thank you, madam, for your kindness.
Ooh, I really don't know how to thank you, madam.
You are too kind, altogether too kind, madam.
Didn't you notice, too, how that villainous woman set him at light work instead of breaking his back, as she's breaking ours, making us lug those heavy rubbish bags?
Did I? If that old witch dares to pay him as much as she's paying us, I'll...
I will, too. What's a mere armful of musty old books compared with what we're sweating under?
Yes, what? Say, suppose this young simpleton should happen to unearth the Kerensky treasure before we have a chance at it.
Nah, 'tain't likely.
Oh, don't be so sure, old pal. He might have come here for that very purpose.
He might have.
I'll wager he's more knave than fool.
Well, we'll watch him. Every move he makes. Shh. Speak of the devil. There he is. What's he doing with all those books? He's to throw them out.
Let's go. Someone else is coming.
Hello, are you a helper too?
Yes,
I'm Sophie,
and I'm Anton. I've just been hired by the caretaker.
my mother. But you're not strong enough for this kind of rough work.
Oh, but I am.
Well, I can see that you're not used to it anyway.
We all have to get used to lots of things. And so, I should continue my task.
As do I. I just love Christmas Eve, don't you? The whole world seems so different, somehow, from ordinary days. I'm glad old Count Rudolph chose this time of the year to die in. Aren't you?
Count Rudolph? I don't understand.
The old crusader who once owned this place. He walks about every Christmas Eve, they say, though I've never seen him myself. You see now, don't you? How fitting it was. He should die so close to the birthday of the king he traveled over land and sea to honor. Don't you think it's beautiful it happened that way?
All but the ghost walking part of the story. Being scared out of your wits by an old crusader and clanking mail isn't exactly my idea of a joyful Christmas Eve celebration.
Why, old Rudolph wouldn't hurt a mouse. He doesn't come to frighten people, but to try to tell him where the money is hidden so that it can be spent for the old and poor. He died so suddenly after coming back from the Holy Land that he had no time to do the spending himself. It was to have been a thank offering for his safe return.
Do people really believe all that?
Mother doesn't, but I do. Perhaps because I want to believe it. Anyway, Christmas Eve is different. The university lads. Christmas Eve changes even them. At other times, they're a pretty wild lot with their jokes and pranks. Oh yes, I'm right. This lovely season does things to everybody. Good things.
Not everybody. You're wrong there. If Christmas did make them over, I'd be singing with the students right now. One of them.
Who has prevented?
My uncle.
What did he do?
Enough. Took advantage of my father's illness to cheat him out of his home, and not a kreutzer of the doctor's bills has he paid since. Nor has he provided an ounce of food for either my father, mother, sister, or myself.
So that's why you're doing this rough work. To buy food for the family.
Yes. If Christmas Eve or anything else could change Ladislaus Novak from a rascal into an honest man, it would be a miracle.
Ladislaus Novak?
Yes, what do you know of him?
Why, he's the new owner of the castle. Haven't you heard?
Indeed not. To think I've been working for money that belongs to us anyway. I must go.
Stay, Anton. How will giving up help your father? Will it put the food he needs in his mouth? Or provide the medicine that may help him get well? It's hard, I know. But everything will come out all right in time. Who knows? Perhaps sooner than you think. For miracles have been known to happen on Christmas Eve. You'll be going to university yet.
You're right. I will.
That's the spirit. I must go to see what Mother has for me to do next. You stay put. Those books aren't going to organize themselves.
Psst. Come here. Quietly. Look.
What's he doing with those books?
He's up to something.
Treasure hunting, I'll bet.
Oh, now what's this I've found?
He's found something.
What did I tell you?
Wait a minute. He's got a piece of parchment in his hand.
It's a map.
Maybe. Let's just see what he does with it.
I wonder if I ought to tell her about it. Yes, I will. Though I'm not sure she wouldn't mind my keeping it anyway. She said to use my own judgment as to what should be thrown out. It's no use to her, or anybody else for that matter, and it would mean so much to my father.
Did you hear that? I told you it's a treasure map.
I bet his father's in on it too.
Let's get him.
Hand over what you have there.
It'll be worse for you if you don't.
I have nothing that belongs to either of you.
We'll decide that. In any case, I'll warrant it doesn't belong to you.
Oh, you had a reason all right for sneaking in here. You with your white hands and your girlish ways. You thought you'd pull the wool over the old woman's eyes, didn't you? And while pretending to work for her, on the lookout for the Kerensky treasure?
I thought nothing of the kind.
I don't believe you.
Nor I.
I'm telling you the truth.
What have you got behind your back?
Yes, what? Out with it.
I guess we'll have to use something besides words. Let's see what you got hidden behind your back, boy.
It's the old crew.
No, nothing like that. But you're not afraid, are you? Be brave like me.
I heard the clanking mail.
No. Oh, no.
I swear I did. Listen hard and you'll hear it too.
Let's get out of here.
Yes, let's.
Sophie? Mrs. Gesner? Hello? Anyone? There's someone at the door. Sophie? Mrs. Gesner? I've just been attacked. Hello? Oh, fine. I'll get it. Oh, a beggar. Hello. It's a beggar. There's a beggar on your doorstep on Christmas Eve. Okay. Will you step in?
Thank you kindly. Thank you kindly. The Lord bless you this Christmas Eve, young sir.
And may he bless you also.
Would you be so good as to give a hungry wayfarer a bit of food?
I could hardly do that, seeing I do not belong here. But I can do the next best thing. Call somebody who in all likelihood will.
Thank you kindly.
And how did you get in?
The kind young sir admitted me, madam.
And who said you could take liberties with other people's houses, young man?
I called first, but nobody answered.
What is it you want?
A morsel of something to eat.
Not a crumb do you get. It's high time folks discouraged idle, good-for-nothings like yourself from taking advantage of the Christmas season to wheedle industrious folk out of their hard-earned substance.
I'm not asking for money, but only a bit of food.
'Tis all the same. Off with you.
Oh, Mother, you can't do that. You can't send him away. Haven't you told me ever since I was a little girl? A guest in the house is God in the house.
A guest, yes, but not a vagabond.
Please, Mother, please. Remember, it's Christmas Eve.
As if I hadn't reason enough to remember it without your telling me. You're trying to take advantage the same as he is.
Only a bowl of soup, Mother, and a crust of bread.
Well,
I'll pay for it in work. Indeed I will.
Afterwards.
there's plenty of it to be done, heaven knows. You, young man, what are you standing gaping there for? Get another load of books and be quick about it.
Yes, Mrs. Gesner.
And you, my girl, can get the food you're so anxious your guest shall have. I must return to my broom. Join me as soon as you've given him his soup and bread.
Gladly, Mother.
And you, stay here and don't touch anything.
Of course, madam. Thank you kindly.
Here is your soup and bread, sir. Please, here is a warm place for you to sit.
Bless your sweet soul, my child. You make me believe in Christmas once more.
Who could help believing in it? I was just telling Anton, he's the boy that was here a minute ago, that miracles can happen this time of the year.
What kind of miracles?
I don't know. Don't you see? It's the not knowing that makes them so thrilling.
Yes, indeed.
The Count, Sophie, the Count! It can be none other this time. What will he say? What will he do? We're not nearly ready for him. Come, do you hear me? Every mother scamp of you, hurry, hurry! The Count has come, the Count has come. Mind your manners, or it will be the worse for you. Make bows like this. A Merry
A
Christmas
Merry
to
Christmas
your
to your
lordship.
lordship.
Your lordship?
But I ordered the castle cleaned from top to bottom, woman. This hall, at least, looks as if my command had received some scant attention.
Your pardon, sir, but the time given me was so short, and with workers so hard to find.
That one doesn't appear to be overtaxing himself. To your feet, Bumpkin. Where are your manners?
I'm to blame for his not working, your lordship. He came in here, cold and hungry, asking if we would give him a crust. It being Christmas Eve, what else could we do? He has offered to pay for his poor fare and work, and he will. He cannot do that hard labor on an empty stomach.
My experience has been that an empty stomach is the best of taskmasters. You!
Yes, I, Uncle Ladislaus.
What is your business here?
I am trying to earn the small pittance which is but the tiniest part of what you owe me and my father.
A lie. I owe you and your ungrateful father nothing. And I won't have you under my roof, so be gone.
But your lordship...
Are you running the castle, girl, or am I?
Say it. This is our chance. Say it to him.
Yes. Sir, it is altogether right, sir, that you should shut your door on this lad. He has lied, as your worship has just said.
What's this?
'Tis not for a few kreutzers he has made bold to enter your castle this eve, but to make way with gold. Gold, your worship.
Cease your riddles, blockhead. If you know how, speak so as to be understood.
I'll try, your worship. There's treasure hidden in this place, planted by the first Kerensky, who went to the Holy Land, though what for I could never figure out. To give up plenty of good things to eat, money for your wants with a lot left over, and a warm bed in the bargain. To let a pack of pagans try to slit your throat.
On with your story, lout.
Well, this young thief, for I will prove to your worship he is that, has dug up some of this hidden treasure. The two of us, him...
Hello?
...and me, caught him counting it in front of the fire. We did our best to get it back for you. I swear we did. When...
Anton, is this true?
Not a word of it.
Where have you hidden this find of yours?
How could I possibly hide money I didn't have?
Ah, but you must have something. Else these blockheads, stupid though they are,
Hey, now.
could not have seen you examining it. If you dare utter an untrue word, let me warn you, your punishment will be heavy. Hand it over, Anton.
Oh well. This is everything I have run across, which I wanted to keep, and I intended to ask Mrs. Gesner for it at my first opportunity. Here. You can see for yourself it has no value.
It's just a dirty old scrap of parchment.
It is old, and it is dirty, but that doesn't matter. It's what's written on it that makes it so precious.
Bah, nothing but high-sounding, flowery phrases. See if they make any sense read aloud.
One of our greatest endeavors is that Bohemia, our kingdom, should, through our action, be adorned by a greater number of learned men. Thus will the faithful inhabitants of that kingdom, who incessantly thirst for the fruits of learning, be no longer obliged to beg for foreign alms. Rather will they find a table prepared for them.
Enough of this crack-brained nonsense. Incessant thirst. Fruits of learning. A prepared table, indeed. What did the creature who penned the thing think he was trying to say, anyway?
You ought to know, Uncle Ladislaus, seeing you graduated from the university yourself.
What has the university to do with it?
Everything. The words you treat so disrespectfully are nothing less than those of our late sovereign, King Charles. His announcement, in a word, of the founding by him of the great University of Prague.
Ah, I never pretended to be a scholar, never had any desire to be one. And let me tell you, there were plenty of others who would never have stepped foot in a university if they hadn't been made to.
Not my father. It was for him I was saving this piece of parchment, knowing how he would value it.
Ha! A lot of good his fine education did him.
More than you can ever understand, Uncle Ladislaus. Wretched and ill though he is, he has something you can never take from him, though you've taken nearly everything else.
If he can get any sustenance from old Charles' forcible feeding, I'm the last one in the world to deprive him of it. I suppose you have dreams of a university education, too?
It's going to be more than a dream. One of these days.
Ah,
The lad speaks truly. He will go to the university, as he says.
who asked you to say anything, idiot? Don't you know your betters when you see them?
Anybody who can do that on sight is a wizard. Indeed. Especially these dark days when the more evil a man is, the more he gets himself up in the trappings of virtue. Why, would you believe it? I've even known a noble, mark you, my lord, to steal, grab another's possessions like a common thief. His own kins, too, and yet retain the respect of others so that they continued to bow and scrape before him as if he were the king himself. With his purloined riches, he added a second princely estate to the one stolen, and...
Silence! Silence, you fool! See, Mrs. Gesner, this is what becomes of taking in every wheedling sniveler who asks entrance. Out with you, beggar, out! Are you deaf as well as simple? I said out!
I have excellent hearing, Count Novak, and my sight is as sound as my hearing. Nobody in the kingdom hears or sees more than I. But to finish my story of the ignoble noble...
It's through now, villain, now! If you dare utter another insolent word,
And I'll report you to the king. Wenceslas is ever ready, I've heard, to listen to the oppressed.
Wenceslas! Woman, where is my whip? Find my whip! Wenceslas, bring me my whip! Much the king will waste his time on swine like you, beggar. Where is my whip? Aha. Here it is. Now about that insolent Your Majesty.
Rise, all of you. You wonder why I have done this thing. I see the question on every face. It is not the first time, and I doubt it will be the last, that I have stepped out of my own skin to be one of you. When I ascended the throne of my late beloved father, I realized that if Bohemia was to be governed, I must get close to my people, listen to their woes, share their joys, right their wrongs, and
Deal with their oppressors.
Oh, sire!
Sophie!
let the girl speak.
I only wanted to say, Your Majesty, that you have really been our kind father, when all the time we thought you were only a far-off king. We thank you for showing us our mistake. Wenceslas the Good.
And thank you, my child. Has it never occurred to any of you that your monarch may be more hopelessly ignorant than the humblest of his subjects? He sees only what is allowed to meet his eyes, hears only what is permitted to reach his ears, unless he does
What I have been doing of late. Seeing through their eyes and hearing through their ears.
the experience has taught me more than my father's university could ever have given me, had I studied there for years. For university courses, they do not treat of love, hatred, fear, aspiration, courage, despair, honesty, loyalty. For some,
That's what I said.
speaking of university, Anton, how soon can you enter its walls? How about directly after this blessed season we are about to celebrate?
Your Majesty. Yes, 1,000 thanks.
And what of your father?
Sir?
Can he take possession of his old home in Bomerwald that early?
Oh, fiddlesticks.
He is yet far from well, sire.
We shall have the best doctors to assist in his recovery. Perhaps 'twould be better if he stayed in this other home of his during his convalescence and your first year at university.
What other home, Your Majesty?
Why, this castle of Kerensky, left by the old crusader. Provided, of course, you will not be disturbed by his walking about in clanking mail.
Not I.
I would.
Be brave, like me.
Stuff it.
Besides, Your Majesty, I doubt if he ever walks again. The treasure has been found, you see.
I knew it.
Ah, yes, the parchment. A treasure trove of wisdom indeed.
Oh, how happy the Christ child will be this Christmas. Miracles do happen, Anton, as I said they did, on the eve of his blessed birth.
And now, but one thing remains before I snatch a brief nap in readiness for the midnight mass. What shall be the portion of this hard-hearted wretch, Count Novak?
Please, your Majesty,
The verdict belongs to all of you. It is for you to decide his fate and yours alone. What say you?
Oh, sire, forgive him.
But 'tis a grievous wrong he has done you and yours.
But, after all, is it not Christmas Eve? The season of goodwill?
Well, if you who have received such harsh treatment can find it in your heart to forgive, your king can afford to do no less. Ha! And now, the peace of Christmastide be yours. May God protect and keep you, everyone.
A merry, merry Christmas to you, good King Wenceslas.
A merry, merry Christmas to you, good King Wenceslas.
A merry, merry Christmas to you, good King Wenceslas.
A merry, merry Christmas to you, good King Wenceslas.
A merry, merry Christmas to you, good King how do you say it?
And a very, very merry, merry Christmas to you and yours from the Sunnyside of Life. We'll see you after the new year. In the meantime, be the sunny side of someone else's life. I want to thank all our friends and guests for stopping by for this episode of the Sunny Side of Life. All the Sunny Side of Life players who stopped by, creative support provided every day by my incredible wife Heidi and our fantastic 4 boys. Thanks to every one of our listeners. That means you. A big shout out to my brothers and sisters in uniform holding the line around the world. Share the word, folks. Let the people know what we're up to. Subscribe so you never miss an episode and follow us on social media. All skits are written or adapted and directed by me, Troy Thompson, and are produced here at Sunnyside Farm Studios and delivered to all platforms by Buzzsprout. Music and sound effects are provided by Soundstripe. The Sunny Side of Life is a weekly production about our life on the family farmstead here in Iowa, the liberties we prize, and the pursuits which make us happy. Now, none of this is possible without Christ in our lives. For the Lord God is our sun and our shield. He gives us grace and glory. So may the Lord bless you and keep you, and may the sunny side of your life, liberty and pursuits, be in Christ, and made evident unto you each and every day, and give you peace.